Every problem in your life is not just a stumbling block, it's a signal to shift, a signal to rise, a signal to stop magnifying what's wrong and start looking for what's right, because what you focus on expands. If you fixate on the problem, you energize the problem, but if you zero in on the solution, the door begins to open. It's not magic, it's mindset. And the truth is, most people stay stuck, not because the problem is too big, but because their focus is too small. Life will always present problems. That's not the issue. The question is, what are you going to do with them? Problems are not interruptions in your journey. They are instructions. They carry messages if you're willing to listen. They reveal weaknesses that need strengthening, gaps that need bridging, and areas that need growth. But if you keep rehearsing the problem, all you're doing is reinforcing your limitation. You weren't created to live trapped in cycles. You were designed to rise above them by shifting your focus. Real progress begins when you take full ownership. You cannot solve what you refuse to take responsibility for. That doesn't mean the problem is your fault, but the solution is your responsibility. Victim thinking is easy, but it will bankrupt your future. Ownership thinking is harder, but it creates leverage. The moment you stop blaming the economy, the people, the past, and even your pain, that's the moment you start unlocking possibility. The most powerful person in the room is the one who refuses to play powerless. And then there's your language. Your words are either creating a ladder out of your problem or a prison wall around it. If all you do is talk about how hard it is, how unfair it is, how big the problem feels, then you're just putting emotional interest on a debt you never owed. Stop speaking death into your situation. Stop agreeing with limitation. Start declaring vision, even if you don't see it yet. Speak the solution until the atmosphere catches up with your words. Faith isn't just what you believe, it's what you speak when nothing looks like it's working. You've got to elevate your thinking. You can't solve a problem with the same mindset that created it. Thinking at a low level keeps you reactive, but when you elevate your thinking, you become proactive. Solutions exist on a higher frequency. If you're not getting the answers you need, it may be because you're still thinking from the basement while the breakthrough is on the roof. And sometimes the solution isn't logical, it's spiritual. That's why faith is your edge. Faith gives you clarity when facts leave you confused. Faith gives you strategies that hustle never will. Faith doesn't deny the problem, it just believes there's a higher truth. The truth is, the problem you're facing today might be the training ground for the solution you'll offer tomorrow. You weren't born to sit in circles of complaint, you were born to rise, solve, lead, and impact. So shift your focus, fix your gaze on what's possible. And remember, solutions don't come to the complainer, they come to the creator. Be the one who creates. Be the one who decides, I will not be defined by this problem, I will be refined by this process. Stop letting your problem speak louder than your potential. Stop rehearsing what's broken and start building what's next. The more you focus on solutions, the more solutions will begin to show up. It's not about ignoring the problem, it's about refusing to let it own you. You're more powerful than the problem. The answer is already inside you. Now focus, shift, speak, rise, and solve. What you focus on expands. It's not just a catchy phrase, it's a spiritual law, a mental principle, and a practical truth. Whatever you give your attention to, you give your energy to, and whatever you energize, you multiply. If all you see is the problem, the pain, the pressure, then that's what will grow in your mind, in your words, and eventually in your life. You can't feed fear and expect faith to grow. You can't stare at lack and expect abundance to show up. You can't magnify chaos and expect clarity. If you wake up every day talking about what's wrong, what's missing, what's unfair, then you're planting seeds of limitation into the soil of your future. And those seeds don't die, they grow. They grow into discouragement, they grow into delay, they grow into stagnation. But when you choose to shift your focus and start magnifying the answer, something shifts. Even if you don't have all the details, even if you don't know the how, you're aligning yourself with solutions instead of staying stuck in problems. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you focus on with intensity and consistency. Focus is your filter. If you see every inconvenience as a wall, you'll stop. But if you see it as a window, you'll rise. Focusing on the solution doesn't mean the problem isn't real. It just means you're refusing to make the problem your identity. You're choosing to look higher, think higher, and believe that there is a way forward, even when it's not visible yet. The most dangerous thing about a problem is not the problem itself, it's your focus on it. Your mind is the control center of your life, and what you choose to magnify determines the direction of your emotions, decisions, and outcomes. So if you want to change your life, don't start with your environment, start with your focus. Shift your attention from what's falling apart to what's coming together. Stop replaying the scene of defeat and start visualizing the moment of breakthrough. Because the minute you lock in on a solution, your brain, your spirit, and even the universe starts cooperating with that vision. So don't ask, what's wrong with the situation? Ask, what can I learn? What can I create? What can I change? Because what you focus on expands. And if you focus on answers, you will begin to attract them faster than you thought possible. Problems are invitations, not interruptions. Most people see problems as inconveniences, unexpected setbacks that derail their plans, delay their progress, and disrupt their peace. But that's a surface level view, a shallow perspective. The truth is, every problem is an invitation from a higher realm to step into a deeper level of growth, clarity, and purpose. Problems are not here to stop you. They're here to summon something greater within you. When a problem shows up, it's not always because you did something wrong. Sometimes it appears because you're being called higher. You're being invited to think more creatively, to lead more courageously, to pray more boldly, and to act more decisively. A problem says you've outgrown the level you've been living at. It's time to expand. But if you only see it as an interruption, you'll resist it. You'll complain. You'll shrink, and you'll miss the door it was trying to open. Every breakthrough you've ever witnessed in someone else's life started with a problem. Every invention, every transformation, every innovation was born out of discomfort, chaos, or pain. But the people who rose didn't run from the problem. They leaned into it. They accepted the invitation. They embraced the challenge. They understood that the problem wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something better. When you shift your perspective and stop labeling problems as detours, you begin to see them as divine invitations. Invitations to dig deeper, to get honest, to stop relying on old strategies and start tapping into new wisdom. A problem can expose weaknesses, but it can also activate strength. It can reveal blind spots, but it can also awaken vision. It's not here to push you down, it's here to pull you up, but it all depends on how you perceive it. See, when you reject the problem, you delay the promotion. But when you accept the problem as an invitation to grow, to stretch, to rise, you accelerate your purpose. Don't just pray for God to remove the problem. Ask him what the problem is revealing. Ask what it's teaching. Ask what it's birthing. Because sometimes what feels like resistance is really refinement. What feels like pain is really preparation. So stop resenting the problem. Receive it as an invitation. You're being invited to lead at a higher level, to think at a deeper level, and to become the solution the world's waiting for. Don't turn down the invitation. Walk through the door. Solutions start with ownership. You can't change what you won't claim. You can't fix what you keep blaming. As long as you're pointing the finger outward at your past, at your parents, at your circumstances, at the economy, you're giving away your power. Ownership is the moment you stop making excuses and start making progress. It's when you say, this might not be my fault, but it is my responsibility. That shift in mindset is where real transformation begins. You see, most people are waiting for something external to change before they take internal responsibility. But the truth is, your breakthrough doesn't begin when the problem disappears. It begins when you decide to rise in the middle of it. Ownership is not about guilt. It's about authority. It's not about shame. It's about stewardship. When you take ownership, You're not saying everything is perfect. You're saying, I refuse to let this define me. I will define what happens next. Blame feels good in the short term, but it bankrupts your potential in the long term. Blame keeps you passive. Ownership activates your power, makes you ask different questions. Instead of, why did this happen to me? You start asking, what can I do with this? Instead of, who's responsible for this mess? You ask, how can I be responsible for this solution? Ownership turns victims into visionaries and complainers into creators. The people who win in life aren't the ones with perfect conditions. They're the ones who take imperfect situations and lead anyway. They don't wait for everything to align. They don't demand guarantees. They move forward with what they have and grow as they go. Ownership means you stop rehearsing what went wrong and start building what's next. It means you stop disqualifying yourself because of past decisions and start qualifying yourself by current choices. And here's the truth. God won't do for you what you refuse to do for yourself. He'll empower you, guide you, open doors, but he won't drag you through them. That's your job. Ownership is the proof that you're ready for the next level. It says, I might be in a storm, but I won't let the storm get in me. I might have been knocked down, but I will rise again. Not when things change, but when I decide. So take the wheel, speak the vision, own your growth, own your healing, own your assignment, because the moment you do, solutions will begin to show up. Ideas will come, resources will align, people will appear. But none of it starts until you take ownership. Speak solutions, not struggles. Your words are not just sounds, they are seeds. Every time you open your mouth, you're planting something in the soil of your life. You're either planting problems or planting progress. You're either reinforcing limitation or releasing breakthrough. Most people talk themselves into cycles they were meant to break, all because they keep rehearsing what's wrong instead of declaring what's possible. Struggles are real, but speaking about them nonstop won't solve them. In fact, constantly talking about the struggle keeps you emotionally married to the problem. It makes you more familiar with your pain than your power. It reinforces a victim mentality instead of activating a victory mindset. You don't need to deny the struggle. You just need to stop giving it your microphone. The more you speak about where you're stuck, the more stuck you feel. But the moment you start speaking vision, direction, and faith, something begins to shift in the atmosphere. Your words create pathways. When you speak solutions, your mind starts searching for answers. Your spirit gets in alignment with breakthrough. Your faith gets activated, and your actions begin to follow your declarations. But when all you do is speak on the problem, you train your mind to expect more of it. You start living from a posture of fear instead of a position of faith. There's power in your tongue. The same mouth that can complain can also create. The same voice that magnifies hardship can be used to command change. So don't waste your breath echoing doubt. Use it to declare destiny. Say what you want to see, not just what you currently feel. That doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you elevate above it. You acknowledge what is, but you speak what can be. That's how leaders talk. That's how change makers think. Start declaring healing even while you're hurting. Speak clarity even when you feel confused. Call in favor even while you're facing resistance, because your words aren't just describing your situation, they're deciding your future. What you say today is shaping the environment you'll live in tomorrow. So if you're tired of being stuck, don't just change your strategy, change your speech. Stop speaking in circles and start speaking in solutions. Your future is listening. Your next level is waiting on your words. Speak like the answer is already on the way. Speak like the doors are already opening. Speak like the mountain has already moved. Because when your mouth gets in agreement with your mission, your life starts catching up with your language. Think higher, don't sink lower. When life hits hard, the natural response is to go low, to let your mind spiral into fear, your emotions drop into discouragement, and your perspective shrink into survival mode. But you were not created to live on the level of the problem. You were designed to rise above it. The answer is never found in the pit of worry, frustration, or self-pity. It's found on the higher ground of faith, clarity, and creative thought. If you want to change your life, you have to elevate your thinking before you try to shift your situation. Small thinking leads to small living. When your mind is consumed by what's wrong, what's missing, and what's unfair, you limit the flow of ideas, vision, and strategy. But the moment you lift your thoughts, even slightly, you start accessing a new realm of possibilities. Problems often look permanent when your mindset is too low. But when you choose to think higher, even the biggest problem starts to shrink in the light of perspective. Thinking higher is not about being unrealistic. It's about being responsible with your potential. It's about refusing to settle for emotional reactions when you were created for intentional responses. It's the discipline of looking beyond what is and locking into what could be. It's understanding that your current situation is not the ceiling, it's the starting point. But if you don't lift your thoughts, your circumstances will always pull you back down. There's a reason why eagles soar and snakes crawl. Elevation determines vision. The higher you think, the further you see. And when you see further, you stop panicking over temporary problems because your mind is locked on long-term purpose. Low-level thinking will have you making short-term decisions that cost you your destiny. But high-level thinking will stretch you into your future before it even arrives. You can't solve a high-level problem with low-level thoughts. You can't build a vision from a place of fear, resentment, or offense. You have to rise above. Think faith, think purpose, think legacy, think solutions that serve others, not just soothe yourself. That's the kind of thinking that changes lives, not just your own, but everyone connected to you. So when the pressure comes, don't sink, rise. When the struggle shows up, don't fold, focus. Don't let your thoughts spiral into darkness when you have the power to lift them into light. The next level of your life isn't waiting for a better situation, it's waiting for a better perspective. And when your mind goes higher, your life will follow. Faith unlocks creative strategies. When logic runs out, when resources dry up, when doors stay shut, faith steps in and says, there's still a way. Faith is not just belief in the unseen, it's a spiritual tool that activates divine downloads. It opens your mind to solutions you would have never discovered in your own strength. You see, problems don't always need more effort, they need more insight. And faith gives you access to insight that hustle alone can't reach. When you operate purely in reason, you're limited to what you already know, what you've already seen, and what the world tells you is possible. But faith bypasses that limitation. It taps into a higher realm where new strategies, divine appointments, and supernatural ideas exist. Some of the greatest breakthroughs you will ever experience won't come from what makes sense. They'll come from what faith stirred inside you. You don't always need more information. Sometimes you just need revelation. Faith is not passive. It's not about sitting and waiting for something to happen. It's active. It listens for instruction, moves on intuition, and takes bold action even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. When you're in faith, you're not just waiting, you're preparing, you're building, you're expecting, you're tuned into what God is doing even when it's not obvious to the naked eye. And in that space, creativity flows. Ideas come, solutions emerge, strategies are revealed that logic alone could never produce. Faith sees opportunity in what looks like lack. It sees a path through what looks like a wall. It sees multiplication where others see subtraction. That's why people of faith can build businesses in recessions, find peace in the storm, and walk in purpose when everyone else is panicking. Faith refuses to be confined by the current circumstances. It pulls wisdom from above and applies it here on earth. When you live by faith, you're not limited by what's been done before. You become a vessel for what's never been done. You become a problem solver, a vision carrier, and a strategy activator. You stop asking, what can I afford, and start asking, what am I called to create? You stop thinking, who's going to help me, and start realizing God has already made a way. Faith gives you divine access. And with that access comes answers that other people can't even see yet. So if you're stuck, if you're out of options, if the natural path has hit a dead end, it's not time to quit. It's time to press into faith. Because one God-inspired idea can do more in a moment than years of grinding ever could. Faith doesn't just help you believe in a better future. It helps you build it, one creative strategy at a time. So here's the truth. Life will always bring problems. That's not the issue. The real test is where you choose to focus. Because your focus determines your direction, and your direction determines your destiny. If you stay locked in on the problem, you'll stay stuck in cycles. But if you shift your focus to solutions, you begin to move forward, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You're not powerless. You're not stuck. You're not at the mercy of your circumstances. You have the authority to shift. You have the ability to rise, and you have the responsibility to choose differently. What you focus on expands. Problems are invitations, not interruptions. Solutions begin the moment you take ownership. Your words carry power. So speak the answer, not the issue. Think from above, not beneath. And never forget, faith is the key that unlocks ideas you didn't even know were possible. This isn't just about mindset, it's about alignment. Align your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your faith with the solution. Because the answer you're waiting for is often waiting on you. You're not here to be overwhelmed by problems, you're here to rise above them, lead through them, and bring solutions that shift atmospheres. So stand up, lock in, and decide from this day forward, you will focus on solutions, not problems. Because the power to change your life is already within you. Now walk in it.